Good morning, good afternoon, and most of all, good evening, because it is nighttime in Malawi, and we are so fortunate today to have with us Masankho Banda, all the way from Malawi. So I just want to welcome you, Masankho, and I want to welcome our guest to Art Shouts. It's the Art and Well-Being podcast from the Arts Exchange, and we are so excited again to have you as our guest. We produce our show right here in the little city of East Point. Yes, and
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
welcome
Good
you.
morning,
Yes,
or good
well,
afternoon, actually.
yeah, that's why I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good
Right,
night.
exactly, depending on where you are in the world.
The beauty of technology. And, Masanko, I have your biography in front of me. I'm going to read a little bit of it, but then I want to ask you to tell us how you want us to know you today. And I want our guests to know the little bit that I have here. And I want to say it's really a lot more than what I have in front of me, but I'll read a little bit of it. That Masankho is a multidisciplinary performing artist, certified interplay leader, educator, and peace builder. He brings many unique perspectives to his work around the world. He learned the fine arts of storytelling and dance from his Malawian culture, spending many long days and nights listening to stories and dancing to music that captivated his mind, shaped his being, nurtured his soul, and strengthened his spirit. And like I said, there's so much more. So I'm going to turn it over to you to share with us that which is more.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. I mean, in a sense, that captures it because I was born in Malawi, lived in Malawi until the age of 25, and lived in a very rich cultural tradition of music, dance, and story. Even though going to school, I went to a traditional British school here in Malawi and learned the traditional subjects, but I just had this very rich upbringing that was underpinned with music and dance and culture and tradition. And then I spent the next 25 years of my life in the United States, in Ohio, in North Carolina, and in California, where using that background of music, dance, and story, I built a life of performing arts, workshops around peace building and conflict resolution, and also really talking about the African culture and its place in the world. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am. I'm a performing artist who loves to bring that which I know to people around the world, wherever I get invited.
That is incredible. And I've had an opportunity to experience your drumming, your storytelling, your singing, your interplay leading. And again, I'm sure there's much more. And I'm just curious if you would share with us today to help us understand better how you show up in the world. When did you come to this knowing or this understanding that I have a mission with my stories? I have a mission with this drum. I have a mission with my movement, you know.
Well, actually, my name over, Masankho Banda, when you translate it in our language, Masankho means to choose. So the act of choosing. Kamsisi means a small root or metaphorically new beginnings. And Banda is a group of people. I was born when Malawians were choosing freedom to come out of under the yoke of colonialism under the British. And I was born right at that time. So my name, I was given my name as my grandmother explained to me, to say that my name means I will be the person who helps people choose new beginnings towards freedom. And I would do that using dance, music, and storytelling. So when I was in school, I was always in the choir, I was always in the theater, I was always in the dance program. And I realized very quickly that these three mediums have the ability to transform, have the ability to comfort, have the ability to educate. And so I'm not surprised that by the time I got to go to college, it was very clear to me that I should major in theater with a minor in dance so that whatever work I did in the world would have those three characteristics: music, dance, and theater. And really quickly, when I was 14, I went to a music festival that happens in Blantyre at the time. We'd have every summer, there'd be a music festival at the French Cultural Center. It was called the French Cultural Center because the French were the ones who gifted us and built the cultural center. And I remember spending more time watching the audience than I did watching what was happening on the various stages, and saying to myself, whatever I do in life, I want to make people feel like this. I want to make people happy. I want to make people smile. I want to make people discover who they are at their very essential core using dance, music, and story. So it's been a lifetime, but there were moments where it was very clear to me that my name was indeed going to be my life journey.
Wow. So I'm curious, like on your journey, what are some of the standout moments, or if it's just one that just really touches your heart when you know that moment? I would say when you knew that, okay, mission is being accomplished, right? You saw those people, you saw how they were enjoying themselves. Now here you are doing this. And so when you've passed this gift along to others and you knew, you know, your heart was moved and you knew that you were doing your
Yes.
mission. What's a standout
When
moment?
Yes, when we do the work that we do, very often you come into a town or you show up at a university and or you do a residency and it's over and you're gone. But about 15 years ago, I was invited to speak at the San Francisco Youth Guidance Center. So it was the youth jail, as it were, for juveniles. And it was on Martin Luther King Day. And I remember I walked in, and about 17 young men and women between the ages of 15 and 18 filed into the chapel. And I had my drum with me, and I did some singing. I told them about Africa, and got them up dancing to the prison guards were like, oh, what's he doing, what's he doing, but I had them up dancing. But towards the end of my presentation, I said to them, you guys are standing on the shoulders of Martin Luther King, are standing on the shoulders of Malcolm X and Rosa Parks and all of these greats, Frederick Douglass. And I said, but in 100 years from now, somebody will stand on your shoulders. Somebody just like me will come to a place just like this and talk about you. in the same way I'm talking about Martin Luther King. And they were all looking at me, and I said, yes, just because you are here, this is not the end of your life. When you walk out the door, the prison door, when they release you, they will lock it with a key, but they will keep that key so that when you come back, they can unlock it and let you in. But you can make the choice when you step outside this prison to lock that door and throw away the key and say, I'm not coming back because I want somebody to stand on my shoulders. A year later, I was at Stanford preparing for a function that I had been invited to perform. And a young lady tapped me on the shoulders. I turned around. She was standing there. I did not recognize her. And she said to me, you do not recognize me, do you? I said, no. She said, last year you came to our prison. You danced with us. You sang with us. And you told us that others would stand on our shoulders. When I went back to my cell, I cried because this wasn't about 100 years or even 20 years. By that time, when I was in the San Francisco Juvenile Center, I already had a baby that I had left with my mother. And when I went to my cell, I said to myself, will my baby stand on my shoulders? And when they released me, I did exactly what you said. I turned around, I locked the cell with my key, and I threw it away. No, I'm not going to come to Stanford, but I'm going to be the first young woman in my family to go to college. And it is because of your inspiration.
Wow. That's an amazing story. That is truly an amazing story. And thank you for that.
You're very
I'm
welcome.
curious about you, and you and I have something in common. We both are part of an organization in the Bay Area called Interplay. In fact, we're co-liaisons to Black, Indigenous, and people of color in that organization.
People of color.
But, want to focus on you and your work with Interplay because you've been part of that system a long, long time. And so I'm just curious if you would share with us, about the system. And this is the art and well-being segment. And share with us
Right.
about, how that's helping you help others create well-being.
Well, you see, unlocking the wisdom of the body, interplay is a unique system for unlocking using dance, music, and story to unlock the wisdom of the body. I came to it because I was wondering what role the arts had to play in religion. So I found myself at Pacific School of Religion in Berkeley, Berkeley, California. And at Pacific School of Religion, the first class that I took was called Dancing the Divine. And it was led by Cynthia Winton Henry, who is one of the co-founders, together with Phil Porter, of Interplay. And I found this system through improvisational forms and life affirming tools that allows people to access their innermost feelings and emotions, not by saying access your emotions, not by saying access your feelings, but just by getting them together and getting them to sing improvisationally, getting them to tell a story improvisationally, getting them to dance. And so, as I've done this work, next year will actually be my 30th anniversary of doing Interplay, which has taken me to Brazil, has taken me to Croatia, has taken me to Germany, has taken me to all 50 states in the United States of America and to Mexico. In all of those places, Even without the language, using dance, music, and story, communities are able to quickly access that which makes them come alive. They're able to quickly access that which takes them from point B to point A, or from point A to point B, whichever way they want to go. And so for me, it has been this journey of discovery. Along the way, I have grown as a person. You know, you cannot help other people grow if you don't grow yourself. So I have grown as an artist. I've seen, I mentioned Croatia. For 3 years, for 3 summers, I went to Croatia. I took my drum, I took my music, I took my dance, and I worked with these kids, 8, 9, teenagers who were very angry because of what had happened when the Yugoslavia fell apart and there was civil war. And dancing with them, allowing them to tell their story, transformed them, brought healing and peace and comfort. So for me, interplay, body wisdom, this craft has been an amazing tool for transforming individuals and communities everywhere where I have taken it.
Yes, thank you for sharing that as well. And, for our friends who are listening to the Art and Wellbeing segment of Art Shouts, I just want to say that Interplay, they can find out more at interplay.org because, as you said, it is a great system and must be. You've been doing it for 30 years. So,
Yes.
yes. I want to share with you a quote and just see how it resonates with you.
Okay.
Right? Um, this quote says, art in different times has always brought people together, especially in tough situations. So, art plays a very important role in this era of coronavirus, and that's from Sunita Pavan. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you
Mm-hmm.
travel extensively, but this has shifted things for you a bit. And so, I'm curious about the role of Corona in your movement as an artist, helping others have more well-being? How have you shifted with this um, in this time of the coronavirus? How has your service through the arts shifted? I should ask.
Well, when you find people are confined, you know, the pandemic, we just passed March, which would have marked the year-long journey, of confinement and lockdown. People seek ways to escape. They can't escape physically, and so they escape in their fanciful mind. Children, if you watch a group of children playing, they're very creative, they're very inventive. Unfortunately, as we grow up to become teenagers and young adults, we lose some of that. That impulse to create, the impulse to play. And so, for me, what I have found through interplay, through my drum, through story, through this screen, I've been able, with colleagues like you and other interplayers and other storytellers, to say to somebody, let's go on this journey of creativity. Just because you are confined in a space, it doesn't mean your voice has to be confined. It doesn't mean your body has to be confined. You can still dance. You can still move. Your voice can still reach the corners of the world. I am finding myself sharing my computer laptop screen with people from Mumbai, India, Sydney, Australia, Wellington, New Zealand, San Francisco, California, Scotland, Frankfurt, Germany, Amsterdam, Netherlands. And we are on one screen, crying together, laughing together, dancing together, as much as Zoom will allow, singing together, even though Zoom doesn't do that well. But, and inevitably, during that time, somebody says, I feel better, or I feel different. So, coronavirus has taught us other ways of connecting. Coronavirus has taught us other ways of releasing whatever it is that needs to be released: anger, hurt, joy, achievement. We can do it all on this screen. The Black Lives Movement, the Me Too movement has not been confined, but in actual fact has exploded because now people can reach out to each other across oceans, across deserts, over mountains.
Right, incredible, Masankho, especially this technology. And I kind of chuckle sometimes because in the organization that we're both associated with, we've been Zooming a long time, way before it became the norm for everyone else. So I feel in a lot of ways that Interplay is way ahead of its time in that way.
Mhm.
Just because one of the founders wanted to be close to her friends all over the world, they've been Zooming a long time. But I want to ask you if you would share with us about or a story or some drumming or share with us your gift, if you would, just a little snippet.
Sure, sure. Once upon a time, in a land somewhere on the African continent, there was a wise elder. She was so versed in all of science and philosophy and theology, she could answer any question that anybody asked. People came to her from the village where she lived. They came to her from the villages next door. They came to her from across the continent because they had heard of her wisdom and how she would just look out into space, contemplate, and call upon her ancestors for the answers of today, for the vision of tomorrow. Well, as happens when you have a skill, when you have knowledge, there are those who want to knock you off your pedestal. Two young men thought, we are going to ask her a question and she is not going to be able to answer. And they thought, what question can that be? One of them said, I know. He went down to the market and bought two doves, hid them behind his back, and came up to the elder and said, Elder, you are wise beyond wise. I have two doves in my hands. Are are they dead or are they alive? If the elder said they were dead, he would produce them alive. If the elder said they were alive, he would pinch their necks and show them dead. There was no way that she could answer the correct way, the young man thought. She looked at him. Young man, ask me the question again. Are the doves behind my back dead or alive? Young man, she said, the answer is in your hand.
Yes.
I love
love
that
that.
story because it's one that I can tell in 3 minutes. When somebody tell me an excerpt of a story where I can tell you a full story that only takes 3 minutes. Young man, the answer is in your hands.
Yes, and so it is always.
Yes,
I'm going to ask
yes.
you some questions. I call it Spitfire because I try to ask them quickly and then you can respond.
Okay.
All right. What personal healing modality is your go-to when you face challenges?
I love rhythm. I love rhythm. I love drumming. Whenever I can, even just for 60 seconds, even just to listen to drumming, that calms me down and opens the portal to what needs to be.
Great, thank you. And what's your current passion project?
My current passion project is to share stories. Storytelling is so simple. All you need is an audience and your voice. So I'm creating a way to share stories with children, with adults, stories that I want to call it stories that transform. So to share stories that transform. That's what I'm working on now. It's just sort of taking shape, and very soon, boop, stories that transform.
Wow, keep me posted on that.
I
What gift
will.
are you taking from the pandemic?
Well, don't take breathing for granted. I am a COVID survivor. For 8 days, I was on a machine. Day and night. So, my one learning from this pandemic is don't take breathing for granted. And my corollary to that is don't put off till tomorrow what you can say, do, or achieve today.
Ashe to that. So tell our listeners how they may find out more about Masankho K Banda.
I'm on Facebook. If you just put Masankho Banda in Facebook, there may be a few others that come, but the one that comes with my image is me. I don't know if anybody has spoofed my page. I hope not. But if you put Masankho K Banda or Storytelling for You, so storytelling, the number 4, the letter U, that will bring you to my Facebook page. YouCanDance.org, dance without an E. So UCANDANC.org is my website. And that came about really quickly. That came about because people would come to me and say, when I would say I'm a dance teacher or I'm a dance performer, people would come to me and say, I can't dance. And for somebody to say that, for me, it was like, what? So when I started working in the United States and I was coming up with how to register my website, I said it has to be youcandance.org. But I wanted to be clever, so I took off the E and did it with a letter U. So you, the letter U, can dance artsxchange.org is my website where you can send me an email, book me if you want me to come do stories. I am based in Lilongwe, Malawi, part-time, but I do travel. I do come to the United States. Well, last year I didn't come 3 times because of COVID, but once the COVID travel restrictions end, I will resume coming to the United States 3 or 4 times a year. But I'm available to go wherever you are. As I said, you know, if you go to my TripAdvisor map, it will tell you that I have been to 38 countries in 193 cities,
Wow.
bringing music, dance, and storytelling. So maybe your city is one that I haven't come to yet.
Well, we're going to have you here at the Arts Exchange for sure. Okay?
I would love that. I would
Yes.
love
I want to
Yes.
thank you so much for your making time for us to have this conversation today and allowing people to understand how you have created art and well-being in the places that you've been.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. This has been a joy, just to
Oh,
share something that I love so much, something that I hope many people come to, and that is finding the artist in them. Each one of us has an inner artist waiting to come out, and I really hope through the Arts Exchange and these offerings to the public that people will come and unlock that artist that just wants to come out.
yes, thank you so much, Masankho. And I also want to give a shout out to our founder and president of our board, Ms. Alice Lovelace, who gifted us with Art Shouts, the title of our program,
Yeah,
and really
wonderful.
appreciate her. And I want to let our listeners know that they can catch up with us at Atlanta ATL, right, on Instagram. And then our website is www.artsexchange.org. And one quote that I really love is this quote by Maya Angelou, who encourages
Mm,
us to be the rainbow in someone's cloud today, and she says
yes.
that because when she would step in a room, she was bringing 10,000 with her in the way of her ancestors, and she had that power to create
Mm-hmm.
some joy by being a rainbow in someone else's cloud. So I just want to encourage all of us to offer that well-being to others, okay? All right, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Carolyn,
being with
Renee, for
us.
hosting me. Wonderful.
Yes.
Be
Thank
blessed.
you. You too. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
Ashe.
Peace. Ashe. Thank you, Cisa. Thank you so much today to Aziza Shepherd, who is a producer of our program. And I just want to say to those of you who are listening that what's up at the Arts Exchange, as many of you are starting to hear, we're coming out of COVID in different parts. And so at the Arts Exchange, we are no different. We still are technically closed, and we're looking at reopening June 1st and making our space available. We do rent space, so please choose us for your next place that you want to have your event. And again, follow us at Instagram, Arts Exchange ATL. And you can also find us on Facebook at Arts Exchange East Point. So once again, thank you for joining us, and catch us on Instagram. We've got a lot of amazing things going on right now. In fact, before we go, I want to remind you to check out A Family That Creates Together. And that's where we are bringing artists to Zoom to share different artistic disciplines and activities with families. So we want to encourage families to come together and make art together. So join us for our next Arts Shout, which will take place next week. The show airs every Friday. So thank you again for joining us today, and thank you to our producer, Aziza Shepherd.